This presentation is going to be on Halloween Horror Nights 2022. Hey guys, and thank you for joining me in this special presentation. Today we're going to be talking about Halloween Horror Nights 2022. Halloween Horror Nights is something extremely special to me. It's something that since 2014, my wife and I have been going together, making this the 8th year that I experience Halloween Horror Nights with her. No, scratch that. There was about a year or two in between that we didn't go. But almost every year we do attend Halloween Horror Nights. We are annual pass members for Universal Studios Orlando. I call it my second home because it's just one of the funnest places in the world for me to be. Universal Studios is a place me and my wife get away to as mini vacations all the time. Whenever I'm having a bad day or a bad week, normally I just look at my wife and go, "Hey Cindy, want to head out to Universal for the weekend?" And 99% of the time I get the thumbs up to go to the greatest place on earth. But let's stick to the special presentation today, Horror Nights 2022, and how freaking cool this year was. This year was actually the first time Cindy and I got to head out and experience the West Coast Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood. I want to take a large portion of this video and talk about Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, just because Orlando is something that I do every year, and I'm pretty sure we'll be getting Orlando updates all the time, even though I'll be referencing between California and Orlando at some points in this video. This video will overall be mainly on our experience of what we did over at California. Walking into Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, it was already a different vibe the moment we walked in there compared to what we're used to here in Orlando. People over there are not just there for the haunts or the productions. People over there are there to party. They're there to drink, and they're there to have a good time. Not saying that my family here in Orlando isn't out here to do the same thing, but guys, if we're trying to out-party them, we need to step it up. Now, I'm not really sure if they can really out-party us or if it was just a full moon that night. There was a beautiful full moon over Hogwarts Castle that night that looked absolutely magical while we were there at Universal Studios Hollywood. We opted to do Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood with unlimited express passes. Now, it's interesting, unlimited express passes is not something that's offered here in Florida for our Orlando site. I'm not quite sure as to the why. Maybe it's because there's more people. I'm not really sure of the analytics that go behind that, but they don't offer that here. And I thought that that was a very, very cool option, and we were able to take advantage of that and experience some of the houses multiple times. Now, let's get into some of the things that made this year so special. One of the things that I find super special is the resurrection of the Universal monsters. Frankenstein, Dracula, the Bride of Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman. These are all creatures that haunt people in the night, and did for many, many, many decades, and seem to have started to fade out throughout the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. All of a sudden, now in the early 2020s, we're seeing this wonderful resurrection of the Universal monsters, bringing us to Universal Monsters Legacy House this year. The Legacy House was something really impressive. It was basically an all-out battle between the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy. It was a very cool experience. It had a very, very pretty production in Hollywood. I would still say this house, the production was a little bit better. They did this house also in our Orlando site. It's a little bit better in our Orlando site when it came to the production, but the one thing I do like about Hollywood was just their scare actors. Don't know if they rotate faster, don't know if they're just more animated. I'm not sure what it is, but their scare actors are pretty on point and know how to get those scares in quick. Even though Halloween Ends wasn't great, and I keep on complaining about it, I still love the Halloween franchise. And one of the coolest houses for me to see this year again, something I've seen before at Horror Nights, but it never disappoints, was John Carpenter's original Halloween from 1978. They set up a haunt for it, which was just spectacular. This house is very interesting. You get to walk around the old Strode house and see scenes from the classic movie. From the moment you walk inside the front door, you see little Michael Myers, opening scene of the first movie standing on top of that stairwell. And from that moment forward, the fun just doesn't stop. Neither do the kills. Something else that was super fun to see in Hollywood this year that we didn't have in our Orlando Halloween Horror Nights was Killer Clowns. Now, we did have Killer Clowns, I believe, back in 2019 as a house. That was my favorite house that year. No, scratch that. My favorite house that year was actually Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. But Killer Clowns was my second favorite, and it was very, very nice to come back to Universal Hollywood and get to experience it again. As you can imagine, a Killer Clowns house is full of fun times, full of fun pranks, and you guessed it, Killer Clowns. Something really, really cool that Universal Studios Hollywood does and has that we don't is their studio tour, which during Halloween Horror Nights becomes their horror tram or their terror tram. The tram is a very cool experience. You start off in your tram, you get off halfway through, you start walking through some haunts, and before you know it, you're back on the tram getting ready to get back off of it. It's just a unique experience because you get to experience a small film, you get to drive through the lot a little bit, you get to see it from a different point of view than you would normally see the regular studio tour, and it's just very cool. It's not something that we have again here in Orlando. Given that we have more area and more space here in Orlando, I'm kind of surprised we don't have our own tram tour. One of the cool parts of the tram tour was getting to walk through Jupiter's Claim, and this is Jupe Park's park from the movie Nope. Universal did a cool mix in there where they put characters from the movie Nope and characters from the movie Us into one scare area. The main event this year, in Orlando and in Hollywood of course, was my boy, The Weeknd. If you're a fan of The Weeknd, you're gonna enjoy this haunt. It's amazing from beginning to end. The music is great, the strobe lights are great, the vibe is great, there's dancers, there's anything you would expect from a Weeknd haunt if he were to put something from his mind into something like this. Just looking at the After Hours album and the intention of the art that they put towards that, it was really cool to see that envisioned into a house that they put together for us to enjoy at one of these horror nights. Horror Nights in Hollywood was a very special thing. The scare zones were fun. The food was decent in some spots. I'm not particularly the biggest fan of theme park food in general. I'm not the kind of person to want to stop at every little tent and try all the foods. My wife is that person, and we do that. But it's just not something that I personally enjoy. Like I said, just not the biggest fan of theme park food. I always feel like the food is pretty just below average in my opinion. Some of the special eats are special and they're okay, but overall that's not me. What I am a big fan of are drinks. And in Hollywood they had this really cool bar area set up for The Weeknd that was way nicer, way more themed than the one that they gave us here down in Orlando, Florida. The drinks were strong, the drinks were colorful, and the drinks were themed appropriately and named appropriately after songs of The Weeknd. There's some main differences between Hollywood and Orlando that I'd kind of like to pick a bone at real quick. One of them being that in Hollywood, as you can see, all these clips that you're watching were recorded by me. In Hollywood, you're given the permission to walk through the houses with your cameras, and I was able to walk through the houses over there with a gimbal and my camera set up and record everything I saw and be able to come back here on YouTube and share this with you guys. The production quality in Orlando, though, I do understand is higher, but just because they do that, they take away the right to record, it seems. And some of these things, it's just nice to track them. These houses are only set up one time, they're torn down, and then they're not used again. So many people put so much work into building these houses, these actors that make these performances. It's just a nice thing it's just a good idea, I think, to allow people to record through them. I could see why they wouldn't want people stopping and taking pictures, but if you continue to walk through, record, and people can always do screen grabs later, it would be kind of cool here in Orlando. But yeah, that's one of the main differences that I thought was super cool about Hollywood. Another thing I did notice while I was over there in Hollywood was that I heard from a lot of the locals that it never rains over there, and it happened to be that it had rained quite a bit before we had gone to the event. This made the houses all smell a little humid. The smells weren't on point. They had to, I'm sure they were trying to pump in the smells of the house, but the sense of the humidity just seemed to have been overpowering it. I think that's something that they're definitely lacking over in Hollywood. That's the correct protection from the weather to make sure that their houses stay in tip-top quality, tip-top shape, and clean. Something I did notice this year also in comparison between Hollywood and Orlando was that the scare actors in Hollywood just seemed to be a lot more active. I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the video, that I saw those actors from the Monsters House so quick. Over there in Hollywood, it just seemed like they were dancing harder in the Weekend House. It seemed like they were jumping out of corners harder. It felt like I was in Hollywood being scared by actors, opposed to the Orlando experience, where in recent years it just feels watered down a little bit more every year when it comes to the scare actors. And I don't know if that's due to rules and regulations, just trying to keep the public comfortable and safe, or if it's just something else entirely. But to talk about Orlando, we do get the premium Halloween Horror Nights here. All our houses are extremely themed. They're way bigger. Most of them are in air conditioning, if not all of them. Overall, you could just tell that they spend quite a bit more money on the Orlando one when it comes to production. And another awesome thing about Orlando that Hollywood can't touch is how much easier it is to just get around the park. Moving through the lots in Hollywood is a pain, guys. It's a pain. It's not fun moving up and down those lots. Here in Florida, we have our one leveled park. Getting to every corner of it is extremely easy. It feels like the scare zones are better spread out throughout the park. And I give that to Orlando 100%. They definitely have the better production and the more comfortable experience. Well, guys, there were some thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights 2022, our experience in Hollywood, and some comparisons with it between Orlando, Florida. Thank you so much for joining me for this special presentation. And if you're a friend of the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, please. I'm trying to rack up to 500 subscribers when I'm going to go ahead and do a little giveaway. When that giveaway is done, once we get to those 500 subscribers, I'm going to give a shout out to the winner here on one of these videos, and I'll be contacting them to mail them over their little prize. Guys, thank you for supporting this channel. It means a lot to me. Remember to hit the like button. Take time to go through my other videos and also hook a boy up with some likes. We're trying to grow this channel so we can create a better community where we can all come hang out and all talk smack. There's a Discord channel now where you can join. The link is also going to be down in the description. If you want an area to just come hang out, talk some smack, keep it friendly and keep it safe, just come join our Discord. There's already a lot of cool people there. Well, that wraps this one up, guys. Thank you for spending time with me. And remember, always look up. Take care, everyone.